I am shocked to find out that my wife is cheating on me through my work presentation via SD card. I find this hard to believe after 17 years of marriage, my wife was unfaithful. I found out this truth, and it's just heartbreaking. In front of my coworkers, what I thought was my own Wi-Fi is happening, and it turns out someone else is using it, and what's even more frustrating is that it happened during a work presentation. For those unfamiliar with SD cards, they often come with an adapter or card reader that reads them without having to remove the card from the camera. Anyway, I recently had to do a project presentation at my workplace. However, when I tried to enter the presentation on my laptop, something happened that shocked me. We both currently have laptops, but she uses her sister's old and slightly slow laptop where she uses her SD card to store important data and backups, and my laptop to store photos and other such uses. I noticed that her SD card was inserted and figured it was accidentally left there. However, when I went into File Explorer to my wife's folder, I came across a folder of photos of a strange man. At this discovery, I was simply dumbfounded. I was upset, and when I opened the photo, which I initially mistook for my presentation, I almost threw up. My jaw remained open for 5 minutes, and I was completely stunned when I turned on the projector screen. The first thing that greeted me was a picture of my wife in an embrace with another man, and they are kissing. When my coworkers saw the photo, they stared at me. Quickly reacting, I turned off the projector and removed the SD card. Even my boss noticed this, and he canceled the presentation. He told me to go home and take a few days off to deal with the situation. I was in a state of shock after what I had just experienced. Following that, I started to get angry. I gathered my things, got in my car, and drove home. 17 years of marriage, and now what? I wondered, how could she do this to me? How could she hurt me like that? I thought of stopping and having a drink, but I realized that it wouldn't bring me any comfort. The pain only intensified, causing even deeper anguish. She has to leave. I believed she had betrayed everyone she claimed to hold dear. As I walked into my entryway and crossed the threshold, it felt like the entire weight of the world had been placed on my shoulders. What should I say to her? When I got home, I found my wife already there. Her face showed signs of tears and fear, probably because she had already found out about the incident at my work. Apparently, someone had already informed her. When I came in, I kept silent and didn't say hello. I carefully set the laptop aside, then picked it up again and turned to my wife. "There's something you need to see." She looked at me confused and replied, "Sure." Completely unaware of what she was about to see, she was caught off guard when I pressed the presentation button. Her gaze meets mine. Tears are streaming down her face. She starts apologizing, trying to hug me. But I pull away, telling her not to touch me. I ask, "How long have you been cheating on me?" Her answer dumbfounds me. 3 years with a married man. My jaw dropped in bewilderment. I exclaimed, "You're having an affair with a married man?" She put her head down and cried. Shaking my head, I said, "You have ruined our marriage. Nothing you say or do can change my mind. Your infidelity has affected even my job, and I have been sent home." She interrupted me, "I'm sorry." Raising my voice, I replied, "I don't need an apology." I told her I wanted to divorce her. She shrieked, "Please don't do that. I'm sorry." I firmly repeated, "Your apology will not change the fact that you cheated," and walked away from her resolutely. I grabbed my laptop, extracted the photos from the SD card, and saved them to the cloud so they wouldn't get deleted. She came up behind me and hugged me tightly. I told her not to touch me. I told her, "You need to find where you are going to live now." Her demeanor suddenly changed. Just apologizing, she suddenly became angry. Looking angrily at me, she declared, "From now on, I will fight you for everything." I was well aware that a quick divorce was out of the question. At the same time, I couldn't help but think about how inconsiderate she'd been by leaving evidence on the SD card, which I'd already protected by moving the photos to the cloud, which she didn't have access to. With a glance at me, she walked past me into the bedroom and started gathering her things. I remained motionless, keeping my gaze on her, pondering her intentions. Just as I'm trying to solve this mystery, she approaches me with suitcase in hand, announcing her intention to leave for her mother's until the tension subsides. She said she would keep in touch, but emphasized that she intends to fight the divorce. After that, I decided not to pursue further conversation with her. She left, clearly in annoyance, and for me this was initially a positive thing. Shortly after she left, I took the precaution of removing the SD card from my laptop and putting it in a safe place. 3 days passed. I have decided to contact several attorneys. My goal is to gather information on the necessary procedures involved in filing for divorce. Unfortunately, from my perspective, the outlook is not very favorable. Even with evidence of her infidelity, I will most likely not be able to avoid paying alimony. My concern is that I have absolutely no desire to provide her with any financial support. However, given our 17-year marriage and the fact that I am the primary breadwinner, there is a strong possibility that I will have to pay some amount of money. It is not yet clear how much. A few more days go by, and then I get a text message from my wife. She asks if we can have dinner together. I was hesitant at first, but finally agree as I am curious to understand her intentions. We arranged to meet at a well-known restaurant in the city. I arrived early and placed my drink order. While I was waiting, she came in and took her seat. Immediately, she started expressing her remorse for what she had done. She confessed her deep love for me and assured me that she never intended to cheat on me. However, this man was noticeably younger than her, and he was persistent in his pursuit of her. He showered her with extravagant gifts and pampered her with dinners at expensive establishments. I told her, "The amount he spent on you doesn't matter. What matters is that he didn't want to devote himself to his own wife." I shrugged nonchalantly and continued, "What's the point of a married woman hanging out with all these guys? Why would you leave your husband to be with someone else and spend time with him?" In response, she explained that he wanted intimacy with her all the time, but she was not satisfied with that. As a result, she thwarted such attempts and preferred to spend time with him without crossing certain boundaries. She noted that over time, as he began to realize that a romantic relationship between them was unlikely to work out, he stopped his attempts to seek intimacy. I bluntly asked her the question, "What did you come to meet with me for? My position on the divorce hasn't changed." She offered to discuss the divorce and what she wants to get. I responded by saying that those issues would be handled by lawyers. She then advised of her financial difficulties in hiring an attorney. I suggested that her parents be involved in the matter. She did not inform her parents of my intention to divorce her. Instead, she informed them that we had a rift and that she wanted to spend some time apart from me. I said, "Eventually you will have to tell them the truth." Tears came to her eyes, streaming down her cheeks. She looked up at me and asked, "Is there anything I can do to fix this?" After a moment's pause, I replied, "Seek counseling with a psychologist." In response, she asked, "What about you?" To which I firmly replied, "I've been faithful to you. I don't need counseling." I continued, "You asked, what steps to take? I'm telling you, start with counseling. Let me be clear. I'm not stopping the divorce." She said, "I see. What else do you want?" I said, "Let's take it one step at a time. We'll start with counseling, and then we'll figure it out from there." I added, "Once counseling is over, I expect you to tell your parents about what you did." She replied, "Please, I beg you, don't force me." I said, "This is a condition under which I might consider reconciliation. I emphasized that you must go to counseling and talk to your parents. Only then can I consider reconciliation." I told her, "It amazes me that I would even consider taking you back." She said, "Why do you say that?" I replied, "Because you've neglected 17 years of marriage. I'm not sure if I can ever begin to trust you." She apologized again and tears streamed down her face. Looking up at me, she states, "I'm willing to do whatever it takes to regain your trust." Meeting her gaze, I reply, "You know what steps you should take." At the same time, I emphasize again that I will not stop the divorce process. even if she does everything. I tell her that it's still hard for me to trust her, and I'm not sure that such trust can even be regained. In response, she begs me to give her a chance. She says she is remorseful and that she wants to save the 17 years we have lived together. As I think about the situation, I begin to question my decision to give her a second chance. I guess I don't want to give up 17 years of marriage completely, but at the same time, I'm afraid of appearing naive if I reconcile with her, and she cheats on my trust again. We finish our dinner conversation and leave the restaurant. She turns to me and hugs me tightly, confessing that her love for me is still strong, and begs me to be patient. Meeting her gaze, I tell her that it is now her responsibility to convince me not to divorce her. She says she understands the situation and commits to taking whatever action is necessary. We break up, and I try to deal with my emotions and think about the decision to give her another chance. Thank you for listening to the story to the end, and if you like it, please support us with a like as well as subscribe to our channel. Write in the comments what you